Hi, I'm your dorky friend Lisa and welcome back to my channel. If you've actually been keeping up with me and watching my videos, I apologize. I haven't filmed in a couple of weeks due to life. I had two birthdays in my family. My brother and my stepmom slash step crazy. And that meant family trip, of course, and my dad was sick, and of course, my dad has the cooties. I'm gonna get them from him. It's just the way life goes. Then 3 Rocky shows on top of that, and I broke my toe. Life is fun. Anyway, so today, I have 3 video ideas already in my head since I missed a whole gap. So I may film another video this week just to kind of anyway, so this week, as you can tell by the title, we're going to touch on one of my favorite things, which is conspiracy theories. And I'm not talking about the Bernstein Mandela effect, which honestly, I seriously believe in that. It was Bernstein when I was a kid, I swear it was. But we're going to go into some other ones that one of them I recently discovered. And hopefully, maybe you'll go back and read these books and find them entertaining. Even though some of them are lies, I tell you. Anyway, so, one of my favorite stories, and which is a total pop culture phenomenon, is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yes, did you know, what does Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach, The Witches, and Matilda all have in common? The same author. The gentleman who wrote all these books, who wrote tons more, Fantastic Mr. Fox, BFG, he wrote tons and tons of stories. He wrote your childhood, and he should have the J.K. Rowling's, a credibility, but nobody ever knows who he is. And I'm talking about Mr. Roald Dahl, okay? All of his work is, of course, it's children's stories, but I feel, anyone can be entertained by them, obviously, because we are all entertained by the movies as children and still today. I mean, think about it. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is such a cult, following, such a pop culture phenomenon that it's been made twice. Tim Burton touched it. You have so many legends behind that. Who didn't love James and the Giant Peach as a kid? Who did not die over Angelica Houston in Witches when they were a child? All of these are Roald Dahl. This gentleman who died in 1990, unless you are a reader, no one knows his name. He should seriously have J.K. Rowling's fame. Think about how many movies have you watched of his if you go down the list. I mean, who didn't watch Matilda? Who didn't watch James and the Giant Peach? Who didn't watch both versions of the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? All of these are Mr. Dahl. So I say credit where credit is due, people. So go out and read something of his. Buy a book. Anyway, then the next one is a cautionary tale. Most of us grew up with the Go Ask Alice legend, that it is a diary of a girl, early teens, who becomes a drug addict and who ODs. False. Did not happen. It's fake. It is a fake diary. The woman who wrote it, and I could not prove this because I went to go look it up. I heard that she was commissioned by the church to write Goaskalice and another book, which I could not get a hold of, which is the Book of David, which is the only one out of this series that I'm going to go into that I haven't read, but I got the conclusion sort of from online. But anyway, basically it's fake diaries written under the, again, anonymous name, as if they're real diaries put out there to show, these are the bad things that can happen if you do these things. Even Barnes & Noble, if you go and look on their site, as far as the books listed under the anonymous name, it has Anonymous could be anyone, you know, is their like little thing, yeah. Which obviously it's BS. I even grabbed this copy of what is called Jay's Journal, which is another book in the series, and it says, see if you list right here, it says edited by Beatrice Sparks. She's actually the woman who wrote Go Ask Alice, and she wrote Jay's Journal, and I think she wrote all of the books that I'm about to go into, which is Go Ask Alice, of course, traditional, she drug addict, OD'd. Then there's Jay's Journal, which is about a 16-year-old boy getting into witchcraft, again, the church, and of course he ends up committing suicide by shooting himself. Then there's Letting Anna Go, which is about a young girl who develops anorexia, and of course, heart gives out, keels over, blah, 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 dies. And then the last one, oh, no, sorry, Lucy in the Sky, I forgot about that one for a moment. Obsessive girl who ends up becoming an alcoholic, and of course, dying, because they all die. And the last one was the Book of David, which I could not get a hold of a copy of. The Richmond City Library did not have it. I went to 3 different Barnes & Nobles here in town. None of them had it. The only thing I could order it offline, which I may do just so I can read it and possibly let y'all know the shenanigans they pull in this. But basically what I got the whole premise is the boy is on the football team, has a cheerleader girlfriend, good grades, popular, and then he falls in love with a boy, and of course he's gonna be outed, and I don't know how it ends, whether, well, I assume I know how it ends because all of them die at the end of the book because it's obsessive, crazy, cautionary tales, which is silly. And then, but again, like I said, I might read it and I'll let you know what actually happens in the book. But all the other ones I did read, was not impressed. I remember reading Go Ask Alice when I was younger and thinking, really? No, I don't believe this. This is some of the fakey-ass I've ever read, because I know what my diary looked like when I was supposedly that age. She was like 13, I think. And it was not that. Nah. And honestly, they're also supposed to, I was kind of like disappointed when I was reading some of the newer ones, because like it's supposed to be kind of like written so it can be timeless, you know, with Go Ask Alice, you know, it can be now, but they had like really some pop culture references in some of them that honestly are even like outdated now, and like nobody in like 5 years are gonna get. So it's kind of like, Anyway, so then we're gonna go on to a real diary. Very real, very sad. I remember reading this when I was younger, which is the Diary of Anne Frank. And apparently the version that I read and a lot of other people, I'm old, people my age read, was an edited version. Yeah, what? Why? Apparently her father did not want a negative, like any of the negative kind of like teenage stuff in there. He kind of like wanted it censored a little bit. So much later on, I assume after his passing, they put the real version out, which you can get, you can definitely get now, which is the definitive edition of Anne Frank. And so I recently read that just so I could see kind of like what the differences was. And she does a lot of shit talking about her classmates and stuff. She's very typical teen. Like, I like her better. Like, I mean, obviously I felt bad and was like, oh my God, when you read the first one. I mean, well, the first one, well, the original, I should say. But you know, she has arguments with her mom. She has, kind of like some dirty thoughts, you know, for that time period, I feel like, because she's, you know, she's wondering if Peter's ever really knows what a girl looks like under her clothes, kind of deal like that. And period talk, development talk, like, again, it makes me, she's a real person. I think this should have been the one to really, like, come out, because as a teenager reading this, you would have, I think, understood her more, gotten her more. You wouldn't have thought, oh, okay, yeah, she's a girl trapped in a really horrible situation. And I mean, honestly, I should have realized that there was something up when I was a kid, because if you read, like, the original edition, like, the entries are, like, sometimes just, like, paragraphs. Who writes just a paragraph in their diary? Seriously, who writes a paragraph in their diary? I mean, nowadays I know a lot of people don't obviously keep diaries, even though, you know, there's online sites for that. But most people don't bother with that kind of situation. But when you did, when you were younger, like I did, you know, you didn't write a paragraph, you wrote pages and pages and pages. And, like, legitimately, like, entries that were just, like, paragraphs are actually, like, pages of stuff, because she was talking shit about her classmates and, like, things like that. Like, she was a real person, you know, like, she was expressing her diary, her thoughts, you know, she was talking to Kitty, which is what she called her diary. So again, I read if you're old like me, go back and read it. Make sure you get the definitive edition, because they do have, of course, still, like, at the library, the old one if you want it. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm definitely going to try to get a hold of the Book of David, so I can let you know. From what I gathered online reading it, it was very, because of course it's dealing with, you know, homosexuality and stuff, but it was written from, I assume, a religious mindset, because it wasn't even that long ago that one was written. So I know pop culture, like, gay hasn't really been socially acceptable in the public eye for very long, which is a sad thing, considering back in the day, you know, it was before, like, Christianity, like, took over and everything. It wasn't even, like, thought of as weird or whatever. Check out the Greeks and the Romans and all of that stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna read it, and apparently it's very anti gay, it's very homophobic in parts or whatever, but I'll let you know, and maybe we'll fight them on it. Maybe that's why it's not in the library. Anyway, I had fun, guys. I hope you did too, and I hope I see you here next time. Again, if you have any ideas for future videos or comments about these books, down below. Bye, guys.